Good day. Welcome to Westchester Talk Radio, westchestertalkradio.com. I'm John Marino, and we are produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that serves good. Lipolis Electric, don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis. By Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard. By White Plains Hospital. Also by Michael Labriola, Landscape Design and Construction of Armonk. And by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Welcome to the Sports Report. We are joined by the athletic director at Irvington High School, making a return appearance. This school year just wrapped up. John Buonamano. John, welcome back. And I do have to say, after the end of what was a rather unique year, you must be kind of relieved that at least the competitive portion of what you do, at least for now, is done until September.
Yeah, it was, well, first of all, thanks for having me, John. It's great to see you again. Yeah, it was definitely a challenging year. Definitely ready to hit the reset button, and I'm already in the process of planning for next year. But you know, it was a great year. You know, the kids had the opportunity to play, and you know, we had some challenges this year, but all in all, everything went really well.
During the spring season, by that point, were you pretty much back to normal operation? You know, step by step, you were trying to get back. What was it like at Irvington during springtime, knowing that there were guidelines to work with still, and yet schools had the leeway to do things as they felt fit for what they felt was just right for their own school?
Yeah, I mean, the spring went really well. It was probably the most challenging season that we had because everything was back. We had the full slate of sports back, including modified sports, which we really didn't have before that. The fall 2 season, we had modified as well, but it was only two sports during that season. So it was a little bit easier to manage. The spring, definitely had some challenges, but it went very well. All of our teams, had their opportunities in a more normal, season than most of the other sports seasons that we had. It was as close to normal as we had, throughout this year.
Were you still very pandemic protective during springtime?
Yeah. As a district, we really wanted to hold true. We were, one of the few districts that did not have to shut down really during the course of the year. And we did not have one single case stem from our athletic programs. So, knowing that the spring athletes lost everything the year before, I really felt it was important. And not only myself, but our coaches, our administrative staff all felt that it was important that we continued to, just kind of hold true to what we did throughout the year to get us to that point. So, it was a small sacrifice, on our athletes' parts, and, our spectators as well, to make sure that we can make it through the season and provide that opportunity that the kids didn't have the year before.
Mm-hmm. How difficult was it to adjust throughout the year with so many schools having to go on pause? Like you said, Irvington, one of the few that did not. When one school goes on pause, it affects not just that school, but it's like a domino effect, a chain all the way down, up and down, that other schools have to adjust with too.
Yeah, it definitely was. We just had to, be flexible. I mean, sports, everything in sports, you're always facing adversity, and one of those hallmarks of sports is being able to persevere and navigate those challenges, and we did that throughout the year.
Did you have a number of pop-up games that came up along the way, like we saw in college football, college basketball?
We did what we could to try to make sure our athletes had opportunities to play. We were very fortunate with not having a lot of that happen with us, where we had to scramble at the last second to find other schools. Again, part of that, you could chalk it up to luck too, because, there are times where some teams that we might have played 2 weeks prior shut down 2 weeks after, and then it impacted other schools. But yeah, I mean, we definitely lost some competitions during the course of the year due to it, but all in all, we were able to kind of navigate those challenges.
Did you wind up with at least a few games against teams, regardless of sport, just like in every sport combined, against teams that you might not normally play because of the situation, like that classic college East Carolina Stanford football game that basically got arranged on a Thursday and played on a Saturday? 2 days later, Stanford came across country.
Yeah, the section kind of structured our leagues differently this year so that we stayed more regionalized. So we were playing, predominantly the southern tier of Westchester schools. and within our class for the most part. So for the majority of our programs, the way our league kind of falls, it was mainly those Southern Westchester schools anyways, because there are a lot right around here. So we didn't have to do a whole lot of traveling, outside of the Southern Westchester area.
You did play, I guess, the Hastings, the Dobbs Ferries.
Yes.
Some Croton, your former home, correct?
Yes. We definitely did. We had an opportunity to play, a variety of different schools, kind of local, in that local, in the proximity of our school. We did travel a little bit, but we did not have to do as much of it as we have in the past.
How cooperative were all schools together? Was it rivalries be darned here during this period here of the past year, and just everybody worked together the way they should?
Yeah, everyone wants to try to preserve any type of rivalries that you have, because it makes, the experience that much better. But all in all, the section and the athletic directors, my colleagues, did a phenomenal job, and really just managing expectations of, not only their own programs, but, their athletes, the families, to really, and I'll be honest with you, even here in Irvington, we had such a supportive community about everything. I think everyone was just thankful that we were able to play this year. And, honestly, if you would have asked me, when we had our first interview in the beginning of the year,
right?
You didn't know what to expect. I wasn't 100% confident that we'd make it through an entire year. I thought, based off of what was happening earlier on in the fall, that, things might get shut down at some point. But, I was very happy that I was wrong in that assumption. But, again, we did everything that we could, not only from a local standpoint, from a school-based standpoint, but from a section standpoint, to provide our athletes opportunities to play in the safest environment possible.
When getting back to normal operations, step by step, did you kind of increase the way athletes could and coaches could interact with each other when it came to things like using equipment, sharing equipment, and mask wearing too? How did that relax during the year, social distancing, and fans also too? How did that progress towards the end of the year about allowing fans into games?
Yeah, slowly but surely, things started to open up, and we continue to follow. We followed, and we will continue to follow direction from the Westchester Department of Health. And NISFA, the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, Section 1, in providing, the safest environment possible. And throughout the year, little by little, some of the restrictions that we had to start the year started to loosen up a little bit and provide more opportunities for fans to be at the games. And at the last game of the year for us in the section championship for the boys lacrosse team, that final game was the first time that athletes were allowed to play without masks too. So, by the end of the season, it was as close to normal as possible. And I've already been in discussion with the section, the state, and with the Westchester Department of Health about, moving forward for open workouts this summer and what their plan is for the fall. And, we're hopeful that this coming fall is going to be back to normal.
What the boys lacrosse program accomplished was a progression, I guess, step by step, developed over a number of years to get to where they are today.
Yeah, I think that, the leadership of the program, did a phenomenal job in preparing our student athletes for, a very competitive schedule. And we ran into a really tough team. Bronxville was a great, they're a powerhouse, but our coach, did a phenomenal job. Coach Schaefer and Coach Saplina, who did a phenomenal job just preparing the kids day in and day out and making sure that we did whatever we could do to prepare ourselves to have success on and off the field.
Bronxville, when it comes to boys and girls lacrosse too, like you pointed out, one of the powerhouses in Southern Westchester, no doubt about that. How were you able to prepare the athletes to compete in this kind of situation throughout the year?
We followed the protocols this year, again, to make sure that our athletes their health and their safety was first and foremost in all of our mindset. And then creativity, our coaches, demonstrated a lot of creativity as far as their practice planning was concerned, and how they were able to provide the athletes the learning experiences that they needed to have success on and off the field. And so it's a true testament to their leadership qualities and creativity, to make sure that their kids were prepared.
Was the biggest key in all of this the mental aspect in getting the athletes ready?
Yeah, I'm sure, a big part of it was making sure that the kids understood, what we needed to be able to do. And in a lot of my conversations with our student athletes, I tip my cap to them and their ability to, make sure that they did with their small part in wearing masks and socially distancing when not in competition, to make sure that they could continue to go. And like I said, everyone did a great job.
Their dedication, I think, was key.
Absolutely. They had to be dedicated this year because, it was most of our seasons were shortened, so they had opportunities to play, but it was very condensed. And I know that many of them have, obligations outside of school as well. So, the time commitment, was definitely difficult, in a short time span, but they did a great job. And, they demonstrated their ability, or their commitment to want to be a part of that program and help lead their teams, to the success that they had.
Was it a case, at least in some cases, of some trepidation where an athlete might have thought to themselves, well, I don't want to get close to somebody else on the other team, get too close, and yet when you get out there competitively in soccer, 50-50 balls, you got to go for it. Basketball, loose ball, you got to dive for it. It doesn't matter who's there. Did that go away once they all stepped on the field or onto the court?
I believe so. I think that they were just so excited to be able to compete and have the opportunity to build those relationships on the field with their peers, that I think once they stepped on the field, I think a lot of that started to go by the wayside. And again, our athletes did a phenomenal job maintaining their masks during competition, things like that. I know it wasn't easy, and I'm sure it wasn't a popular thing, when I had to constantly remind people at times, like, hey, make sure your mask is up over your nose and your mouth. But again, they did a wonderful job, in being able to do that, to ensure that their seasons were able to continue.
And by the way, Irvington has a great team mask, which you displayed last time we spoke early during the year, back during the fall.
Yeah. The Bulldog Booster Club, Irvington Bulldog Booster Club, purchased those masks for us. And so when we were out on the field, we looked uniform, like we looked like a team when we were out there. So, I thank them again for their support this year, not only with that, but also, helping funding local lives so that our parents and spectators who weren't able to initially get to games indoors, and then even if they weren't able to go to our outdoor events this year, had the opportunity to do that.
And mask turned into a great opportunity to promote the program, as it turned out.
Absolutely.
A great fashion statement, no doubt.
Yeah.
Fashioned it well the last time we spoke.
Yep.
John Buonamano is the athletic director at Irvington High School, here on the Sports Report on Westchester Talk Radio, WestchesterTalkRadio.com. I'm John Marino. John, throughout the course of the year, obviously there are special events in every sport, whether it be senior day, senior night, whether it be those rivalry games, whether it be a postseason matchup, postseason football, obviously, things like that. Were you able to get everything in? Lacrosse, obviously, you had a postseason there too, and other sports as well at Irvington. Were you able to do what you needed to do when it came to special events?
Yeah, we were able to properly celebrate our seniors this year. We did it earlier than typically, for the most part. Senior games are like at the tail end of the season, but to ensure that they had the opportunity to be recognized, we did everything early, like our first or second game of the year for the most part, so that we made sure that those things, that they didn't miss out on those opportunities, because a lot of seniors the year before did miss out. The spring athletes missed out on a lot of that stuff. So we were able to do that. We were able to celebrate, although it was a condensed celebration this year here on campus, where typically I think the senior sports awards are held down the road at one of the hotels in a conference room, and there's a dinner. which we weren't able to do that this year. We're looking to do that again next year. But we combined with the school academic awards this year, and we're able to celebrate with our student athletes in person, and recognize them for their accomplishments. And then, as far as the postseasons were concerned, the spring was the first true section championship that we were able to provide as a section. Everything else was kind of like a sub-region championship. And it was based off of those initial alignments that the section had created to make sure that we were more regionalized in our competitions. So again, this spring was the first time we were able to crown a true section champion, but all in all, we were able to get everything in.
You talk about getting the senior days in at the beginning of each season throughout the year. And I work a lot of public address around the section, and sometimes for you at Irvington too. At the beginning of the football season, another school where I work public address, the athletic director said, we're going to do senior night, opening night. So I said, well, you don't want to wait till the end of the season. And he said, can you guarantee me we'll have an end of the season? Can you guarantee me we'll have a week 2? I said, no, I can't. He said, all right. He said, you got a better idea? I said, how about we do it on the first night? He said, okay, we're doing it on opening night. I said, there you go. And luckily things worked out and we were able to do that. And obviously you see the point right there about making sure that it all gets in, and for the kids, for them to have that experience too.
Yeah, for them and their parents, it's an opportunity, to celebrate the sacrifices that the parents have committed to as well, because I think we all know it's not just a commitment from the student athlete standpoint. The parents have a lot to do with that as well. They have to make sure, when kids get older and have their driver's license stuff, they're shuttling themselves around for the most part. But, the 9th, 10th, 11th grade, some 11th grade kids might not have, a car to be able to transport themselves. And, parents, I know my own, throughout, my high school career, were always bringing me to clinics and things like that too. So, kudos to them as well. They definitely had to do that. But, you're absolutely right. When it came to like our senior recognitions, that was the whole philosophy behind doing it right away, was that we couldn't guarantee the end of the season. We couldn't guarantee the next day,
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that, the first opportunity we had to recognize the players, our seniors and our parents, we were able to do that.
Our parents sometimes overlooked in all of this the sacrifices that you pointed out that they make, the 3 a.m.s, the 4 a.m.s, wake ups, or getting on the road and getting one of the kids over to swimming practice, or maybe to an ice hockey rink, or to wherever they have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, from my own experiences, I know my parents, sacrificed vacations and everything else so that I could, compete, at times when I played at, higher levels. And, I think it's, it is an important part that shouldn't be overlooked as far as, the sacrifices that they make for their children so that they have the opportunities that they have.
Mm-hmm. Now, fall is still a few months away. The outlook for the fall season, where does that stand right now?
Right now, we're going to continue to follow the guidance. I reached out recently to the Westchester Department of Health and to the section and to the state in reference to, the thought process moving forward for the fall. At this point in time, there hasn't been any announcements made, from the state, as far as what that any type of restrictions might look like. So we're going to continue on and follow what is current, which, outdoor activities right now, they're not mandated to wear masks anymore. Again, I mentioned that was like one of those late changes towards the tail end of our season in the spring. But we still have to, make sure that we're social distancing, when possible. And indoor events, you have to still wear masks in school districts for students who aren't vaccinated and things like that. So, we're going to continue to just follow the guidance that's provided to us by the Westchester Department of Health and the section in the state, and plan for a normal season next year with maybe some minor, modifications.
Changes,
But yeah, but as of right now, we're all, I think everyone's kind of getting themselves set, because registration, for our fall sports are going to be July 23rd. So, less than a month away, kids are going to be registering already. So, there is some of that information that, may change from today until that point. And, like we did all season, we'll just have to kind of make minor modifications on the fly, but right now we want to start preparing and get ourselves in position to be, able to start up, next fall.
You made some major modifications along the way, like, for example, the fall 2 sports season in late winter, early spring of 2021, backdating the football season, volleyball, soccer. At the moment, does it look like all of that is going to happen in this fall 2021, the 2021 season during the fall, and not pushed back again?
Not that I've seen thus far. And based off of the current guidance and the approval of high-risk sports, I don't see that happening unless, something were to happen to make the state kind of reverse its course. I think all the seasons are going to kind of be, they're going to revert back to the way it was, pre-pandemic. So that's what we're planning for right now.
What was it like to see football played? And there were a lot of days out there where it felt like fall during the football season, the fall 2 season, as it turned out, but to see football played in late winter, early spring.
It was great. I didn't have to worry about.
I thought so too. I thought once the games got underway,
it was that return to normalcy for a lot of people. Was it challenging? Yes, because it was a very condensed season. Absolutely. But they did have an opportunity to play, from a management standpoint. There wasn't any, other programs competing for the turf space, so our team was able to practice up there every day, which isn't typical during the fall season. So it was just really nice to see the kids out there and having fun and playing.
Mm-hmm. I think once you get out there, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is or what time of year it is. A win is a win, a loss is a loss, and it still reverberates within you the same way. And it gets listed on the ledger of wins and losses the same way, too, regardless if it's
Great.
November or March.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So with the summer now, you have a couple of months to prepare for the new school year, obviously, and for the new sports season beginning in fall of 2021, if all goes according to plan. Are you and all the other athletic directors in Section 1 and around the area pretty much done with what happened, what went on this past school year?
Yes. I think we were all excited. We were very excited to see our athletes be able to play this year. Of course, there were a lot of challenges, and for us personally and for them. So I think we were all ready for a little bit of a break to just kind of decompress. And then, like I said, I'm already starting to prepare for next season and make sure that everything is in place so that, hopefully now that, things are the way they are as far as being open, we don't have to necessarily kind of reinvent the wheel, as we're driving the car. I've heard a lot of people building the plane in the air. That's what it felt like throughout the year. But I think, yes, we're all grateful that we were able to provide the seasons that we had. I think everyone everywhere is thankful that this is hopefully coming to a close as far as this chapter of the pandemic, as far as the pandemic is concerned, and for us, to just kind of reflect on that and look at the positives. I mean, that's what I tried to do. It was hard work this year. It was the most challenging, year I've had as an athletic director. But at the same time, it was probably one of the most rewarding to be able to see those kids and the passion, the excitement that they had, and the families be able to enjoy their kids do what they love to do. And now it's just, getting back after it and making sure that we have everything prepared for next season.
Is relief the operative word right now? That you made it through the school year pretty much unscathed at Irvington?
Yeah. For the athletes and their families more than anyone. The work that we do is never easy. It's always difficult. There's always challenges, but relief that for their sake that we were able to make it through the year pretty much unscathed. Like where we definitely didn't have any spread within our programs, which, to me was the ultimate win. And the fact that, I think probably 99% of our programs didn't even have to shut down at all this year, which is great. We had a couple minor, exposures that had occurred, that whether it was from another program or someone from within the program, but we didn't have to shut down. the entire season, and there was no spread amongst those teams either. So, the relief that I feel is not for myself. Thank goodness this is over. I mean, I think we all feel a little bit of that. Like, I'm glad that this part of the year is over, but, more relief that we made it through so that the kids were able to play.
From the standpoint of an athletic director, your work is never done, I guess, right? 24/7, it's a 24/7, 365 job.
Yeah, for the most part. I'd say during the seasons, it's definitely 24/7. It's there's always something. You're not only are you worried about like schedules and things like that, but you're the weatherman. You're constantly taking a pulse and seeing what the weather is going to look like. That's probably my favorite part of the year is when the seasons do end. I don't have to watch the news and check the weather as often as I typically do during the course of the year. But yeah, it's. I think we're all just excited that we were able to make this happen, for our student athletes, and we're all excited to return to normal and provide those opportunities that we've provided, for years, and looking forward to the next chapter.
Or as one athletic director said to me a few years back at another school in Westchester, I had to call him during the Christmas holidays about a game right after the holidays. And I wasn't sure he'd be in his office. So I dialed the number, I hit the extension, and he picked up. And I said, "Oh, you're in today." And he said, "How long do you know me?" I said, "It's Christmas vacation." He said, "When was the last day I had off? How long do you know me?"
Yeah.
Said, yeah. Dumb question.
It is. No, it's one of those things. We're always, there's a lot to be done. There's a lot behind the scenes that people don't realize that we're responsible for, and to make sure that this stuff happens, and it's not without support. I mean, our athletic assistants are a huge part of that. Again, I always make mention of Hannah Gross, our athletic trainer. She's always been since I've been here, been a huge part of that as well. And there's a lot of preparation that goes into, each event, each day. And I always say when it comes to athletics, it's every day. There's an event every single day, and there's multiple events on every day. So, from a building leadership standpoint, I just always say, imagine like you have, graduation and a band concert going on and maybe something else going on at the same time. That's what it's like daily during the course of the year. The summer months are the time where we could really kind of reflect on our seasons and then prepare so that, we're not having to be reactive during the course of the year. Although in sports with weather and everything else, there has to be that level of flexibility that we always have. So yeah, it's a lot. It can be a lot at times, but it's rewarding when you get to see the kids have the experiences that they have on the field.
If you have 3 games in a day, you have to try to make it to all 3 in one way, shape, or form. A little while at least at each game, right? I
try to. Yeah, I definitely try to.
And they could be 3 road games too.
Yeah, they can be.
A game in Somers and a game in Hastings, and you got to make it. You got to go all around in a circle to all 3.
Very rarely, do we not have home events when we have away events. So for the most part, I make sure that I'm home, at our home events as much as possible. And I do try to get to an away event, once in a while. But as an administrator on campus, that's our responsibility, is to be around. And again, I can't kind of state enough. We have support too. We have chaperones and things that help out and oversee things when we're not there, because we can't be in every place at every time, at all times. It's impossible. And we do try to get there to support our teams and to support our coaches as well. And like I said, it takes a village. So there's a lot of people involved that help out with making those things work.
And by the way, you mentioned athletic trainer Hannah Gross. Regards to Hannah. She's been there a long time. She does a great job at Irvington.
Yeah, phenomenal. I tease her all the time. I'm like, she's the best, in the state. I'm so fortunate. Not only with her, with our entire staff. Honestly, we, the hiring process here is great. And we really find strong character individuals to lead our programs, and I've continued that tradition. I joke around with Artie McCormick quite often that, he put me
former AD at Irvington.
He put me in a very great position here, and Stu Hansen replaced him for a year in the interim. But, all the facilities that they're building outside right now, for on the athletic field and the learning pavilion and the bleachers and the press box. I tease Artie constantly about that. Maybe I have to name it after him, at some point in time, because, there was a lot of work that was done prior to me being here that put Irvington in a really great position, to have the resources that they have and the people. When I talk about resources, not just the physical resources, but the human capital that we have here is amazing, and huge supports throughout the year.
You came down from Croton a couple of years ago. Artie McCormick went from Irvington to Pearl River in Rockland County. Stuart Hansen went from Pearl River to Irvington. Stuart was there at Irvington for a year. Stuart's a Bronx native, lives in New Rochelle. He is now happily retired, I guess, right? And there you are in Irvington. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually spoke to him recently. He touched base with me to see how the year went. And, he was a great support in my transition over here and very helpful. And I have to say that all of my colleagues across the section, I couldn't imagine working with a better group of people. Honestly, they're all supportive. Everyone's always trying to help each other out. And although there's competitive, the competitive juices fly once in a while when we're competing and, advocating for our programs. There's not one person I would say that isn't there to help support each other, because we're in, we have a small fraternity of individuals, that experience what we experience. And, the one thing I learned early, even up when I was in Croton, is that the network of colleagues that we have are an amazing group of people.
Regards, by the way, to Artie and Stuart. Next time you talk to both of them, please.
Will do.
Thank you. John Buonamano, we thank you for all you and all the athletic directors and all the athletic programs and the administrators throughout the programs and schools did throughout the school year around Section 1 and around our tri-state area for making this sports season happen. No matter how you had to do it, no matter what you had to do, you made it happen throughout the year. So we say congratulations and thank you to you and everybody else.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And, looking forward to having more conversation with you in the future.
Yeah, hope to see you out there on a field during the fall somewhere, even at Irvington too, we hope.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John Buonamano, here on the Sports Report, Westchester Talk Radio, WestchesterTalkRadio.com. I'm John Marino, and we are produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that service built. By Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis by Hightower Westchester. Managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard by White Plains Hospital and by Michael Labriola Landscape Design and Construction of Armonk, along with Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Catch all of our Westchester, Rockland, Putnam and Dutchess, Orange and Fairfield County Talk Radio programming on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative YouTube, and get the Westchester Talk Radio app. It's called Westchester Talk.